I'm Chip Freud, and this is the Artist Spotlight, conversations with contemporary artists based on 5 simple questions that explore the artist's journey, creativity, and sources of inspiration. Welcome to another episode of the Artist Spotlight podcast. Today I'm joined by Tommaso Hellman. Angela is an award-winning painter whose work focuses on the beautiful things she encounters in life. Her subjects include flowers, people, and the beach, to name a few. Her favorite medium is oils due to their buttery, fluid feel. Her style often exhibits bold brushwork, invoking energy and movement. Angela, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
Well, I'm glad we're able to make our schedules come together to have this happen. As I do with the opening of each show, I ask artists to share a project that you may be working on or something maybe you just finished. Is there something you'd like to share?
Well, Chip, I have had a lot of things going on lately, and in the past really year or two, a lot of family and children and a lot of different things I'm juggling. So as far as what I'm focused on now as things are settling down is gearing up focus and nice big chunks of time back in my studio. I did do some commissions recently, and that's one of the things that I'd like to get started again. Every year I do a calendar. I'm going to start focusing on that as well. But really just clearing my mind and getting back into a good routine in the studio.
That's something that is quite valuable, is just getting to a level of routine when you can. Having been a very busy summer for myself and our clan, I can completely relate to that. Thankfully, though, some of my busy summer actually produced some work, but
yes, that helps for sure.
It does indeed. Alrighty, let's go ahead and dive into our 5 questions. What is your earliest memory of making art of any kind?
Well, Chip, there really was not any time that I don't remember creating, whether it be art or even, I could envision being in like a garden and making mud pies, like just constantly creating. My mom was really a valuable person in my life doing that. She would always have supplies out, and I remember even going to my brother's preschool, who is a year older, and doing art with his class. So I was always doing art. But kindergarten was when I kind of got clued in that I was actually an artist, and my teacher, chose my art to put on the displays. I was pretty shocked. I really didn't realize that I, had anything like special to offer, but she clued me in, and I really kind of never looked back. I always enjoy creating things.
Oh, that's marvelous that you had an exposure to a teacher who would be that kind of encouragement.
Yeah, shortly after that, on my block, a different art teacher opened a studio down like in walking distance. And so then at an early age, probably maybe by first grade, I was taking painting classes. So that was just a constant in my life, painting.
Well, that's a nice segue to question number 2, which is your current medium of choice is oils. What brought you to that medium and why?
I did experiment with watercolors and acrylic, but I do like the fluid, like you just kind of said in the introduction. I like the fluidity of the oils. I think it kind of lends itself to the style that I like to paint in, just sort of an impressionistic style. I think it conveys what I'm trying to express the best. But I do tinker a little bit with other mediums in like my sketchbook, or for background or studies and things like that. But for painting, I do just enjoy how the oils express what I'm feeling.
Excellent. So what inspires your art? Where does it come from?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chip. And really, for the longest time, I did almost want to know why. Like, why is art important, and what is my part in doing it, and why do I get enjoyment out of that? I've kind of landed right now on the fact that we really, as human beings, are drawn to beauty and order. And there's something in our spirit when we see something beautiful that like harmonizes with us. I could sense, being a sensitive person, I could sense even if there's color harmonies, I feel more calm. It brings me joy. And so I think that that's a part of the reason why I like what inspires me to paint. And even when I pick my subjects, I am waiting for that, like that feeling that resonates with me, that touches my heart, like a tender subject. And I usually, the pictures that I want to paint are things that I find beautiful and that resonate with me.
I'm pleased to hear that, because that is part of where my art comes from too, is that sense of beauty, capturing it and sharing it. So often you get a sense, at least I have, coming up as an artist, that, oh, the meaningful art is the stuff that's just full of deep and potent meaning, often social commentary and things like that. And that just doesn't come to me. That's not part of where my art, it's not what it's about. So the way you described it, I find some real sympathy with that point of view.
Exactly. And it's interesting how that question is so important. The inspiration and the why is so important to understand that what we do is important and it matters and there's a purpose to it.
Yeah. And frankly, if it has meaning and purpose to you, that's really all that it needs. If you start chasing a purpose that isn't from within, you're likely never going to find satisfaction.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think if you're painting with the idea of, will other people like this or will this sell? I think it's going to miss a component that people may not pick up on a conscious level, but on a subconscious level, they can sense it. So it's best to really just focus on the piece and what you want to express and how your process is moving along, and kind of let the outcome, the viewers, sort of be a different matter, not in my mind on painting.
No, I think so. I would say even the other piece to that is, if you are starting to make art that you think others are going to want and that you're going to try to do it for what sells, there's probably a likelihood that you'd end up getting jaded over time, because no longer is it coming out of your soul as the things that are meaningful and that you love. You're doing it because you think somebody else wants it.
So true. So true. And I think that's with everything in life. If we're looking for other people's approval, it's really a chasing of the wind that you can't ever completely grasp. It's not a fun place to be in. It's not a settling place to be. And as you know, everyone has a different opinion. Everyone's, who are we actually trying to please? You cannot please everyone. So it's best to just not even think about that part of it.
Yeah, excellent. And we're really already moving into the next question, but what advice would you give an artist just starting out?
Yeah, I think some of the things that I would say is, I guess there's a balance of taking our art and our work seriously, but not over the top too seriously. There's a fine line. I think as artists, we do want to be, respected in our craft. And it's not just like, oh, that's so fun. It's everyone's work should be enjoyable to them to a certain degree, but there is work involved and there is training involved. So I think I would pursue excellence and work at your craft. I also think, like, my mom had this saying, what you put in the drawer, that's what you'll find. And I think by that, the amount of effort that you put into it, you really can be successful in it. Just keep working at it and pursuing it, like any business or any endeavor, and you can become successful in that. So I think that's some of the advice. And of course, like we said, not to create art to please people, but to do what moves you in your heart.
One of the things that often comes up in my conversations with other artists is the idea of understanding what does that mean of the art that you love, and how do you know when it's done? Any comments on that idea of you're working on something you love, but how do you know it's done?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I've heard things where people say, really, art is never completely done. It's like you almost just have to know when to, kind of pull it out of the oven, sort of, not overdo it. But I think that comes with time. I do think that there is a kind of like an innate part of art that when you're painting, there is something that's happening that's a little bit kind of on autopilot to a certain degree. And that you also have to sort of like listen to what's going on in your heart and your mind at that point, when it's completed. I do have a friend or two that if there is that question, I do shoot them a picture and kind of get some feedback also, which is helpful to not be a complete island in the art field, which can easily happen. But it is a subjective thing, and your art is your art. So when you feel it's completed, then ultimately it's done. Sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes I may have a painting that's, a few months old, and now months have passed and I'm looking at it again with a fresh eye, and I want to change that. And I have done that from time to time, change the background or add a color here or there.
Oh yeah, that's another piece of great advice. Thank you. Well, our last question is, what artist or artists would you recommend the audience go check out? This could be somebody you recently discovered, could be an old master, could be a personal mentor of yours, living, dead, somebody we should go check out.
One of my favorite artists that I enjoy following and checking out his work is Daniel J. Keys, California artist. He's a little bit younger than I am, but he really does have such a beautiful, delicate interpretation of flowers in particular, but he does do some other things. I did take a workshop from him actually during COVID, which was very enjoyable. And it really, talking about that sensitivity and, from the heart, when you look at his work, I do feel that same, just a tenderness and, I don't know, it's kind of hard to put into words, but I do really appreciate and enjoy his work. So I would definitely check out some of his work if you don't know his work off the top of your head. It's something to see for sure.
Well, cool. Thank you for that recommendation. Well, of course, we want the audience to know where they can find your stuff in the physical world. Head on down to the Cary Gallery of Artists in lovely downtown Cary. And then in cyberspace, you've got a website at angelath.com. You've also got an Etsy shop, a Fine Art America shop, and of course, people can follow you on social media at Angela Tommaso Hellman, and on Instagram at angela.tommaso.hellman.fineart. Any other thoughts to share with our audience as we wrap down?
Well, I appreciate this time, Chip, and I appreciate all of those who are listening. And if you're checking out my art, I appreciate that as well. And if you are in the area at the gallery, please come in and introduce yourself, or drop me an email that you can find on my website. I would love to hear from you and hear some feedback and make a connection with an audience. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Angela, and thank you all for joining us again for another episode of the Artist Spotlight. The links to Angela's work as well as to that of her artist recommendation will be in the show notes as usual. So please remember to click and subscribe to the podcast on whatever your favorite platform is and share it with the others that you believe would enjoy art. And tune in next time for another Artist Spotlight. Thank you for joining us. This has been the Artist Spotlight with Chip Freund. Find accompanying blog posts at chipfreundphoto.com/blog, and you may subscribe to our show on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like listening.